halfway at 2:30. So we are setting up for a shot to crack 5 minutes in Heat 1 of the women's mile. Chori to the front. Bifa yields a little ground. Scott, though, going to cover that move. Scott's race plan was to just follow the leader. She's doing that to perfection early going here. 5 laps down, 3 to go for Amal Kachori and Georgia Scott. Scott looks poised to go around, but either is truly not able to yet or is trying to be patient. Now she goes to the front. Georgia Scott, who's looked eager to do so for the entirety of this race, now will go to the front with a little over 2 laps to run. 3:45 with 2 to go. A real shot here at sub 5 minutes. Fully in control is Georgia Scott. And we'll see what kind of urgency she has here. She's got herself under 5 minute pace now. So after an opening 2:30, 800, really gonna have a solid negative split here. She can finish well with Georgia Scott of TCU. Opening that stride, which should get her under that 5 minute barrier. So Georgia Scott will win Heat 1 of the women's mile in 4:54. Wait for the official time. Nice negative split for TCU's Georgia Scott. The rest of the field will trickle in now. 4:54.94, the winning time for Georgia Scott. Amal Kachori second, 5:01.72, so she just misses 5 minutes, as does her teammate Bifa, 5:01 as well, with the trio from Arizona in 4, 5, and 6. So Georgia Scott's seems like a little disappointed with her run despite the victory. But a winner nonetheless in Heat 1 of the women's mile. Quickly get assembled for Heat 2. In Heat 2, we'll have Peyton Shippey of New Mexico in Hip 1, Eleanor Corton Camp of Arizona in 2, June Zimmerman, Grand Canyon in 3, Isabella Velasquez, Grand Canyon in 4, Salma Licon, UTEP in 5, Eva Johnson, Grand Canyon 6, Sella Akers, Grand Canyon in 7, Karina Trujillo, Grand Canyon in 8, and Alejandra Sierra, New Mexico Junior College, Hip 9. Away we go for Heat number 2, chasing the 4:54.94 from Georgia Scott in Heat 1. Heat 2 of the women's mile. So crowded opening lap here. With appears to be acres of Grand Canyon with the slight advantage through one lap over Shippey of New Mexico. Now Peyton Shippey of the hometown Lobos will take control. Likelihood she realized maybe they were off pace a little bit because it's been a pedestrian opening 2 laps, and Shippey trying to get things back on schedule. It was 80 seconds through 400. Now Eleanor Corton Camp coming into contention, trying to close up that gap that Shippey has opened up. .57 through 600 for Peyton Shippey, still in front for the University of New Mexico. Really working to close that gap is Camp of Arizona. Here we are now, halfway, 236. 236, Peyton Shippey. But she's got a battle incoming here from Eleanor Corton Camp of Arizona. Now we are tightly bunched here with hip 1 and 2. I have 3 to go now. New leader, Eleanor Corton Camp of the University of Arizona, 3:17 with 3 to go. Corton Camp has blown this one wide open. No one else hardly in frame. You can still see Shippey there at the bottom of your screen, but a 30-meter lead for Corton Camp with 2 to go. Eleanor Corton Camp fully in control here. Just a dominant second half of this race. Just needs to finish it. Just needs to finish this effort. No reason to think she won't here. Negative split in Heat 1 with Georgia Scott. We're going to have another one here, at least for the opening splits, for Eleanor Corton Cott, now going into her final sprint. She's going to dip under 5:10. Solid run. Really 2 strong examples of how to run a mile from Georgia Scott and now Eleanor Corton Camp, 5:07.92. Zimmerman second there, 5:12. June Zimmerman of Grand Canyon takes second position, but well back of the winner, Eleanor Corton Camp, as the rest of our milers trickle in here. So that concludes our coverage of the mile events. We will be back shortly with you for coverage of our 200-meter invitational sections coming your way next. Stick with us. We'll be right back on FloTrack. Your college sports have a home on Flo College. Watch more than 20,000 college sporting events from 200 schools and 18 different conferences only on Flo College. Head to Flo College today to see everything now. Welcome back inside Cozy Albuquerque Convention Center. We're getting ready for the premier events of day one here in Albuquerque, where we will have the men's and women's 200-meter invitational sections, and our very top section is up next, which will feature Jacob Andrews of USC in 4, Garrett Kaland of USC in 5, and Jaden Reed of LSU in lane 6. And we're going to want to keep an eye on the clock for this competition here. These are two men who were top 5 in the NCAA indoor 200 meters a year ago, with Kaland 4th and Reed 5th. Top time in the NCAA thus far in 2026, 20:47. And that is a mark that could go down here in this very next race. So we have Andrews, Kaland, and Reed from inside to outside. And away we go. Heat 1 of the men's invite 200. Kaland and Reed already battling it out, and Kaland making up that stagger. Wow, look at these guys go here. And Garrett Kaland is dominating here. Kaland's going to run away with it and run a very quick time, folks. This is going to be a quick one. We'll wait for the official word. Clock unofficially stopped at 20.2. 20.12, a fabulous, fabulous time for Garrett Kaland. One of the fastest ever in this building. Garrett Kaland, a statement, a new NCAA lead, and one of the fastest times we've ever seen on the NCAA level. That is a huge statement for a man with aspirations of winning an NCAA title next month. Very, very good performance. And like I said, a statement run from Kaland. 20.12 is one of the best marks we've seen in February in the NCAA level. Fabulous performance by Garrett Kaland. That's one that's going to send shockwaves through the NCAA this early in the season. So that race fully lived up to the hype there with Garrett Kaland of USC. Like I said before the race, he had finished 4th at the NCAA Championships a year ago. Definitely designs on a better finish than that next month. Kaland was 3rd at the NCAA outdoor meet with a sub-20 performance back in June. So this is a man that is on the rise, and he showed it here tonight in Albuquerque. All right, we'll move on to Heat 2. Jordan Urrutia of Ole Miss will run in 4. Mason Lawyer of Arizona will run in 5. And Alpha Balde, Alabama, will run in 6. Urrutia, Lawyer, and Balde. Heat 2 of the men's 200 invite section. So everybody chasing that 20.12 of Garrett Kaland. Not a time that's likely to be replicated or exceeded, but these men will try in Heat 2. That's Lawyer, who's going to feel some heat from Urrutia on his inside. Urrutia to the front, Lawyer chasing. Urrutia will take it to the line. 20.6 is where the clock stops unofficially. .50. Track is fast tonight. It's confirmed. I'm calling 2 races a trend there. 20.50 with Lawyer second. 20.54. Alpha Balde is 4th with 20.95. So 5 heats in total of this men's 200. Up next, as you see, Ohio State's Nick Biega getting his blocks sorted. Next, we'll have Nazio John of Ohio State next to his teammate Nick Biega in lane 5. John is in 4. In 6, we have Ian Dossman of Cal State Fullerton. Just trying to get organized here in Heat 3. That's Nick Biega. So I misidentified our athletes here. We had Nazio John in 4 of Ohio State, Nick Biega in 5 of Ohio State, and Ian Dossman, Cal State Fullerton, is in lane 6. So with this slight delay, we'll give you some of the results we've had. Again, Garrett Kaland, 20.12, the winning time in heat number 1. That's certainly an NCAA lead for 2026, and it is also a world lead for 2026. Try not to get too cute with world leads in February, but in a 200, that's significant, if only because there's not going to be too many 200s run by professionals. Certainly the collegians later on in the season, when they're peaking for indoors, could crack that mark, but 20.12 is a legitimate time that could win NCAA. So the fact that Kaland's running that in early February could hint at a sub-20 performance in March, which is exceedingly rare. Only a few men have done it in history. Okay, heat number 3 in the blocks. John, Biega, and Dossman, your 3 trio here in heat 3. Biega working up on the shoulder of Dossman. Here comes his teammate John as well. All 3 men still in this. Biega takes the edge and takes the advantage in the last 50 and holds it to the line. The time there, 20:53. Biega looks excited about that one. He does look like he could strap on a helmet and play linebacker for the Ohio State University too if he wanted to. But I think he's got a future in the sprints based on that performance. So Biega excited with his win there. It was a solid come-from-behind win for Biega in Heat 3. Heat 4 will feature Jordan Gross of Iowa in Lane 4, Miguel Rosario, Grand Canyon in Lane 5, and Justin Raines of Grand Canyon will run in Lane 6. You're just joining us. We saw a fastest time in the world just a few heats ago. Fastest time for 2026 in the world with Garrett Kaland in Heat 1 running 20.12. So just looking at the NCAA record book, 20.12 ties Kaland for 5th all-time in the NCAA indoor performance list. He matches Matthew Bowling of Georgia, who ironically ran his 20.12 in 2023 on this very track. So 20.12, sure, it has an altitude-assisted little notification next to it, but nonetheless, 20.12, 5th fastest all-time in NCAA history. And away we go for Heat 4. I'll give you more details about Kaland's performance after this race. Rosario coming up into the shoulder of his teammate Raines. But here comes Gross as well. Iowa, strong performance in this meet for the Iowa Hawkeyes, and Gross continues it in Heat 4 as he wins in 20.9, the unofficial winning time. 20.91 for Jordan Gross to win Heat 4 with Justin Raines second, 21.22. And Rosario third, 21.41. Yeah, a reminder at home for sprinters. So in events below the 800, it's basically how I quantify it. 800 is kind of a wash at altitude at this high of above sea level. So it's basically not too dissimilar from running at sea level based on the distance you're running. But when you're running below that, and definitely in the 200, the thin air will help you in the sprints. So the 20.12 to put it in a sea level time, if you want to do so, which they'll do for NCAA qualifying purposes, will be worth about a 20.14 for NCAA qualifying purposes, which why it gets the little A in the NCAA record books for indoor marks run at a certain threshold above sea level, which is what Kalen's will get. But when we talk about all conditions, which for indoor, stick with me, folks, I'm trying to explain this well I can. For indoor, all conditions just means times run at sea level and at altitude. 20.12 is 5th all time. So altitude, elevation past a certain point will help you in the sprints, hurt you in the distance races. But everything is kind of cleaned out in the wash when we talk about adjustments based on if it helps or hurts you for NCAA qualifying. So there's no unfair advantage if you only race at sea level or if you only race at altitude. Everything ultimately gets distributed based on a sea level time. Hopefully that made any sense at all. But we are ready for Heat 5 of the men's 200. We have Salmon of TCU in 4, Emerson of Cal State Fullerton in 5, and Onan Ubosi of Arizona in lane 6. Sanjay Salmon, lane 4, trying to edge in front, but it's going to be Onan Ubosi of Arizona taking that one. Clock reads 21 flat. We'll see if he snuck under that mark. He seems to be excited about it because it is right at 21.00. Couldn't have just given him 20.99. Come on now. So that's a joke. 21 flat. James Onan Ubosi to win Heat 5. And that wraps up our invite sections of the men's 200. We'll have the women coming your way next, and they will have 5 heats as well. So we'll step aside very briefly and be right back with the women's 200-meter competition here on FloTrack. So we just had our men's 200-meter invite sections. We are set to go for the women's competitions, and just like Heat 1 was a treat on the men's side, the women are that talented, or perhaps even beyond that. Let's introduce you to our field. We have Holly Duax, Iowa, in lane 4, Dejaz DeFrand of USC in lane 5, and India Mayberry, TCU, in lane 6. Mayberry, who you see there, the white of TCU, was the NCAA indoor 200-meter champion a year ago as just a freshman. So that was obviously an amazing way to start her collegiate career. And she'll get a good early season test from Dejaz DeFrand to her inside, a multi-time All-American, formerly of Florida State, running the last couple years for USC. So some elite pedigree in the sprints here in Heat 1 of the women's 200. Mayberry last year won NCAAs in 22.30, which was the number 7 all-time mark in collegiate history. Track's fast. We saw Kalen run a big personal best for indoors. Maybe that could be in store for this field as well. And if Mayberry's to do it, that'll be an all-time NCAA, likely top 5 performance. So in the blocks we go. Duax, DeFrand, and Mayberry. Away we go. Mayberry had a little stutter step out of the blocks there. Maybe not her ideal start. DeFran starting to work up on her shoulder. Good one brewing here between DeFran and Mayberry. Oh, stumble there from Mayberry, and that's going to cost her the race. Jazz DeFran will win. A little bit of an awkward race just overall for the reigning NCAA champion. Kind of a stutter step start, and then issues around the corner. It's not a time that either will be thrilled with, but 22:79 for Jazz DeFran to win the premier section of the women's 200. 22:79, Mayberry 23:12. She's got several things to kind of fix as we head into the latter part of the regular season. So disappointing result there, but still fun to see those two All-Americans go head-to-head, and DeFran gets the edge in that battle. But I bet she would trade a 2025 NCAA indoor title for the New Mexico Collegiate Classic title in 2026, but can't change that, of course. So here is Heat 2 of the women's 200. We'll have Rachel Uvagara, USC, in lane 4. Christine Mallard, USC, in lane 5. And Tiana Harlan, TCU, in lane 6. Uvigara, Mallard, and Harlan, your 3 in Heat 2. And away we go here. Mallard trying to challenge Harlan out of lane 5. Mallard has the lead into the straightaway, and she will take Heat 2. Really steady race there from Christine Mallard. 23:22. Bests her teammate Uvigara in 23:37. That's Rachel Uvigara. Harlan in third, 23:66. So here is Heat number 3. We have Olayinka Olahide, Texas Tech, Kioma Nwachuku of Iowa in lane 5, and Mia Bray Peterson from USC. Of course, we remember Bray Peterson from competing at the Olympic trials, running the fastest indoor high school time back in 2023 of 22:89 seconds. So a high school phenom now running at the collegiate level, Bray Peterson. Will operate out of lane 6. So a scratch out of lane 5. So we will just have Olahide and Bray we go in heat 3. That's Bride Peterson up on the top of your screen here. Duking it out here with Olahide. But Bride Peterson on her way to victory. Ooh, good solid run from her. 22.9 on the clock. Oh, and she's excited about that. 22.85. Mia Bride Peterson gets the win in heat 3 and is very excited, seemingly, to break 23 seconds. Not too far off our fastest time run by Dejaz DeFrand in heat 1. Will mark Mia Bride Peterson in for the second fastest time in this invitational heats. So heat 4 and 5 still to come here. In heat 4, we'll have Mackenzie Kelly of Texas Tech in 4. Naomi Johnson of UCLA in 5. Anaya Bigham of LSU will run in 6. Heat 4 is set in the blocks here with Kelly, Johnson, and Bigham. Naomi Johnson running well here, but Bigham countering. Well, she was countering that move before she pulled up. Now Johnson in control. Naomi Johnson of UCLA running away with heat 4. 23.4, the winning time unofficially for Naomi Johnson in heat 4. .23.14 the time. There you can look at Ania Bigham, who pulled up at about 125 meters to run. So do hope she's okay. And heat 5 now on the track. Final 200 meters here at the New Mexico Collegiate Classic. We'll have Brooke Lyons in 4 from Arizona. Ella Onahuevu of LSU in 5. And Izzy Zahn of Iowa in 6. So final women's 200-meter race. Final 200-meter race period is on the track next with heat 5 of the women's 200. Lyons, Onahuevu, and Zahn. Those are your 3 from inside to out. The women's 200. 22.79 the time to beat here. Some issues getting started there. The starter bug hadn't hit us for a while there, for a few hours, but it bites again. Do we need to change equipment? Do we need to give a warning? Let's see what our issue is. Does appear that we're going to have a chat with Ella Onahuevu. Well, we had some interruption by some fans, possibly some athletes as well. So looks like we've got that sorted. But you got to get off the track for a full lap race. They're going to cover every inch of the surface, so need to get out of the way. And they're going to cover every inch of the surface going at a very high rate of speed. So got to get off the track. Heat 5, Brooke Lyons, Ella Anahunuevo, and Izzy Zahn. LSU's Ella Anahunuevo in the lead, burning past Izzy Zahn. Brooke Lyons trying to make a late challenge, not going to be enough. Ella Anahunuevo wins easily in Heat 5. (23:24) for the LSU sprinter Anahunuevo. Izzy Zahn second there, 23:56, with Brooke Lyons third, 23:70. So we'll have the men's 800 coming your way next. We'll step aside before that and be right back with you for more from Albuquerque. Welcome back to the 2026 New Mexico Collegiate Classic, as we are rapidly approaching our final races here, day one in Albuquerque. Up next, we have two heats of the men's 800. Heat 1, I'll invite you to meet the field. We have Chase Rose wearing hip 1 of Ole Miss, Jermaine Lemaitre, Grand Canyon in hip 2, Muhammad Koa, TCU in 3, Chase McCallum, USC in 4, Connor Hinson, Ole Miss in 5, Isaac Carney, TCU in 6, Stone Smith, Ole Miss in 7, Michael Cunningham, Grand Canyon in 8, and Matthew Inrodi, New Mexico in 9. So we'll have two heats of the men's 800, followed by two heats of the women's 800 to conclude our day one coverage. If you've been tuning in to today's events, you may have just seen one of the fastest indoor 200 meters on the collegiate level all time about an hour ago, run by Garrett Kaland of USC, 20.12. The time on the clock, a world lead, obviously an NCAA lead, and the 5th best mark collegiately all time. To the line we go for Heat 1 of the men's 800. Rose, Lemaitre, Koa, McCallum, Hinson, Carney, Smith, Cunningham, and Indrodi. Indrodi for the Lobos up front through the opening split. 26 seconds. You can tell this one is fast, as we are way spread out here between Indrodi and the rest of our field. Lemaitre in second, so Indrodi is pacing. Lemaitre 52 high through 400. Solid pace effort from Matthew Androdi of New Mexico. Set things up well for our leader, Jermaine Lemaitre. He's got athletes in pursuit, including Chase Rose of Ole Miss, 120 with 1 to go. Rose now in control. Lemaitre starts to go backwards, going from first now to fifth. And here comes Chase Pack Koa of TCU trying to give pursuit. Not going to be enough, though, as Chase Rose will win 148. $148.55 there. Chase Rose, your winner in Heat 1 of the men's 800. Koa, 149.44 for second. Those two, the only men under 150. Michael Cunningham, third, 150.07. So an exciting Heat 1 yields itself to Heat number 2, which will feature Matthew Hamilton of Grand Canyon, Rayan Belcaire of Grand Canyon, Joshua Abraham, New Mexico, Reese Crawford, New Mexico, Drew Oliver, TCU, Alex Arnold, TCU, Jacob Yeager of UTEP, Spencer Desmond, Grand Canyon, and Evan Avitia of UTEP. So final men's race of day 1 of competition. Reminder, we'll be back here for day 2 tomorrow morning at about 10 a.m. local time. So get some sleep and come back to us for that one. Men's 800 Heat 2 is on the line and off. Chasing the 148.65 by Chase Rose from Heat 1. Another quick start following the trend from Heat 1. Very nicely spread out through our first 2 laps. It's Alex Arnold from TCU currently leading the charge. 54 high through 2 laps. So right on that 148 pace, but typically you're not going to see athletes run even splits in an 800. Things usually start to slow down in the latter half. And sure enough, it does look like Arnold's slowing down, and that's bringing the rest of the field right back in this. Belcaire right to the shoulder of Arnold with 1 to go. Several athletes still in contention. Now Rayan Belcaire goes to the front as Arnold starts to go backwards. Reese Crawford in good position in second should Belcaire falter. Crawford has got the home crowd behind him, and he'll win in 154, the unofficial time. Nice finish there, 153.82 for Reese Crawford. Great finish from him. 800 meters, always a race where you want to be leading about a meter from the line, and maybe not even before then. Is always going to have athletes going backwards as the finish line approaches. Reese Crawford knows that lesson, and he wins. The good battle with Rayan Belcaire, 153.91 for the Grand Canyon athlete in second. So quickly, we will get set for our final 2 races. the women's 800 already on the track, which will feature 2 heats just like the men's. Heat 1, Marie Warnicki, UCLA in hip 1. Georgia Scott, the winner of our women's mile earlier this evening, she's in hip 2 from TCU. Kayla Jones, TCU, hip 3. Chachi Gonzalez, TCU, in hip 4. Cassandra Williamson, Ole Miss, in hip 5. Meadow Drabert, New Mexico, hip 6. And Kylie Feeney, New Mexico, is hip 7. To the line we go. Heat 1 underway of the women's 800. Marie Warnicki setting an aggressive tempo early on. It's like Cassandra Williamson of Ole Miss trying to go with her. It's very, very fast through the opening lap. 28 high. That is, frankly, way too fast for this race through the opening 200. But Marie Warnicki has my attention, certainly, with that opening 200 meters. Wow, we are sub 60 seconds through 400 meters. An extremely aggressive first 2 laps from Marie Warnicki. Cassandra Williamson ready to pounce should Warnicki falter. I got a feeling we're going to have some PRs in this race as Warnicki's setting a pace that's allowing the whole field to chase her. 1:31 through 600. Marie Warnicki not falling apart. Perhaps I didn't give her enough credit here. She is holding strong. Wow, this is a very impressive performance here by the UCLA Bruin. Gonna miss 2 minutes, certainly, but wire-to-wire victory, Marie Warnicki, 2:04. Incredible performance for Warnicki. (2:04.52) for Marie Warnicki. Let's see where that puts her in the NCAA. Puts her just outside the top 20 for NCAA marks thus far in 2026. Good run from Warnicki. I was skeptical after that opening 28-second split. And she did slow down, but not enough to yield the victory to one of her competitors. Warnicki takes heat 1. So, folks, this is the final race of day 1, the New Mexico Collegiate Classic. Your field, heat 2 of the women's 800. Harriet Tucson, New Mexico, in hip 1. Jalissa Coe, Alabama, hip 2. Charlotte O'Meara, New Mexico, hip 3. Mackenzie Rosen, Grand Canyon, hip 4. Savannah Harris, Cal, hip 5. Andrea Castillo, UTEP, hip 6. And Elsa Garay of New Mexico Junior College in hip 7. So heat 2 of the women's 800s on the track and just getting settled before we get underway. Making sure we're organized. We've had a couple starting malfunctions, so wouldn't want to close the evening with that. Knock on wood, of course. And away we go, heat 2 of the women's 800 meters. Chippy through the first lap here. Savannah Harris of Cal has the lead in a tight bunch, almost like a formation here, 3 wide with 5 or 6 total in the pack. Now a new leader emerges. That's Coe of Alabama. Jalissa Coe to the front as the congestion starts to sort itself out. Coe will have 2 to go at 69 seconds. Coe and New Mexico's O'Meara, your top 2. Just 300 meters to run here in this final 800-meter race of day 1 at the New Mexico Collegiate Classic. Coe and O'Meara going to battle it out for the win in heat number 2. Coe puts a little space between her and O'Meara, 142 with 1 to go. Now Coe starting to pull away. Kind of sensed somebody on her shoulder and immediately went into another gear. O'Meara's hanging tough, but not going to be enough to match Jalissa Coe, University of Alabama, who will win heat 2 in 2:14. Coe and O'Meara, the top 2 for heat 2 of the women's 800. And the rest of our field will now trickle in. 2:14.97 for Jalissa Coe, 2:16.4 for Charlotte O'Meara of New Mexico. So, folks, that'll do it for day 1 of the 2026 New Mexico Collegiate Classic on FloTrack, presented by Saucony. Tons of strong performances today, with even more ahead for tomorrow. We'll see you back here for day 2. Good night, everyone.